We'll get started. So today we're going to cover contract to close processes with the seller on the seller side. And another benefit to working with sellers is this process is much easier than it is on the buyer side, less detail oriented, or less details, I should say, always detail oriented, but same concepts. It's just on the buyer side, you're just accounting for a lot more steps to take when you're working for a buyer. So I just wanted to first point everybody and put in the chat. I can find the chat. Too much. So I just want to point everybody to the contract to close video from the buyer side as well, just to make sure that everyone has that. And this is again in our YouTube channel, so I'm going to post it in the chat. Now we'll get started. All right, so we get an accepted offer on our listing. Now what? The general parties to the transaction, the parties who you're typically going to be working with on the seller side is, of course, your seller, the buyer's agent. Buyer you will not be working with directly. Buyer's agent will obviously be working with the buyer. The seller's title company, you'll be in heavy communication with them. Buyer's title company, not so much, but there might be a reason that the buyer's title company might need to reach out to you directly. Lender, as a listing agent, I would say that your communication with a lender is very minimal, if at all. But sometimes I have found it necessary to reach out to a lender directly in certain scenarios. The appraiser, we'll get into that more in detail later, but you'll work with an appraiser to get the appraisal scheduled and possibly work with them in regards to supplying comparables that you want them to have, any information that you want the appraiser to have to keep the offer moving forward. But that's more getting into negotiation and the contingency itself. But as I said, we can get into that more in detail in a bit. The radon tester and the inspector. So you'll only really have communication with them again when you are scheduling it for them. So, and then likewise, the platforms that you'll be using in the transaction will be zip forms. And this isn't so much as far as obviously drafting an offer, because you're going to be receiving the offer. But when your seller goes to accept it, you'll use zip forms to get their signature accepting the offer. And then on your end, of course, you might have the need to draft an amendment or a notice. So you'll use zip forms. You're going to be using MLS, the multiple listing service, to update the listing status. So going from accepted offer to pending to sold once it closes. You'll be using Command, of course. Gmail, your email, your Google Calendar, and then timeanddate.com. Just going to do a check for the participants. We are still good. Okay, and then the contract to close checklist. So I'm basing this training off of the contract to close checklist that is in our new associate guides. I'm going to take a quick screenshot to make sure I can account for everybody who's here, because we'll forward you guys a copy of this contract to close checklist, as well as a couple other items after this training. But again, this is the one that is found in our new associate guide checklists, or new associate guides. I always like to make a comment that just use this as a basis. As your systems improve or evolve, I should say, you'll use this as a good guide, but you might need to add to this as you find that you want to be even more detailed with your checklists. So just a comment, just use this as a basis. And again, you'll probably feel the need to add on to it as you go through your transactions. All right, so within the first 24 to 48 hours after accepted offer, you're going to add the contract dates and deadlines to your calendar. You're going to email the seller a dates and deadlines letter. And you're also going to confirm all of these dates with the buyer's agent just to ensure that you're on the same page. So additionally, I'm always getting the buyer's agent and confirming with them that they have their earnest money instructions. We are highly encouraging that buyer's agents use trust funds, which I will show you guys where that is. So in MLS, when a buyer's agent is trying to coordinate the earnest money through trust funds, just confirming, just want to show you guys where that is. So this is one of my listings, and the trust funds option is right here. And you'll click, the buyer's agent will click on that. I have found as a listing agent, I've had to walk buyers through this. So that's why I want to point this out to you guys. And we're running pretty slow. Okay, well, it's running slow. I'm not sure why, but it's really, really easy once, here we go. Earnest money will be held by, and you'll refer to the contract, but 9 times out of 10 it's going to be, well, it will be with Keller Williams Realty, with the listing brokerage, so us. Hit continue. And then it just prompts the buyer's agent to fill this out. So again, it's really, really easy. And we really want buyer's agents to be using this. And then marking the listing active with offer. So we'll go back to MLS. You're going to be editing your listing. Down here is where you'll find how to change the status. So you'll want to do that right away as well. There's only one case where you do not have to mark the listing as active with offer, and that is if you have a bump clause included in the offer to purchase. MLS recognizes that we're trying to secure secondary offers in that case, and it is hard to do when the listing is showing as active with offer. Communicating the best way to schedule inspection. So I'm always letting the buyer's agent know, go ahead and schedule an inspection through showing time or have it go through me. The dates and deadlines to the seller and the buyer's agent, and then entered on the calendar. So I just wanted to show you guys and share with you guys the platforms that I use each time I have an accepted offer and I'm filling out those form letters for our sellers, for my sellers. And I'll use, oh, I will include this as well in the follow-up email to all of you guys. So this is a form letter that I use when I'm communicating the dates and deadlines to the seller. And I'll include when the offer was written, when the offer was accepted, the final purchase price, when the earnest money is due, when they can expect the inspection contingency to be due, the testing contingency, appraisal, loan commitment, closing is scheduled for which day, buyer's final walkthrough, and I'll always include the inclusions and exclusions as well. As I mentioned, when I'm doing my follow-up and communication with the seller during this process and giving them reminders, I'll reshare this letter with them to remind them, you know, as they're cleaning out and moving out, remember, this is what needs to stay and this is what needs to go. Then I will usually just slightly modify this and I will share it with the buyer's agent, and I'll send them a quick email and say, here are the dates and deadlines that I have come up with. Please let me know if you have anything different. It's just really key to make sure that everyone is on the same page with the deadlines. Lastly, I shared this and brought this up in the last training, but timeanddate.com. This is the website that I use to figure out the deadlines. So if the accepted offer was today and we've got a 15-day inspection contingency deadline, I'll just plug that in, calculate new date. We've got April 3rd. Oh, sorry, it defaulted to March 19th. So if the accepted offer was on March 19th, it was a 15-day deadline. We've got Saturday, April 3rd for our inspection contingency being due. So much of this, you guys, is just organization. Back to my Google Calendar. Once I have all of these dates filled out, I will put everything on my Google Calendar so that April 3rd inspection contingency, put it right on my calendar. I will continue this for all of the dates and deadlines. And this is just, again, organization for myself. I want to see when they're coming up. And this is the best way for me to keep track. All right, dispersing the earnest money receipt to the lender and to the buyer. Actually, this will be to the buyer's agent. Once you receive it from the front desk, you will make sure that the buyer's agent gets a copy of it. And then you're going to keep a copy for your records, of course, and that will be included in your title order and then uploaded to command. And back to trust funds. If it is a trust funds deposit, you'll be emailed correspondence directly from trust funds, and we use that as showing that it's a receipt. Sorry, you guys, I think that my mouse is dying and it keeps blocking out on me or disappearing on me. All right, moving on. So I just covered this, but creating templates and saving them in the drive. So again, as you are building your systems, keeping these templates for yourself, marking timeanddate.com, bookmarking this on your in Google Chrome, making sure again that all of this stuff is easy access for you. Here's a better outlook on how these dates look on your calendar. And then as we're marking them off and as contingencies have been met, I will mark done in front of it. Oh my gosh, you guys. Hopefully you'll get me through this. And then likewise, Google email templates. So I have created email templates for myself for correspondence that I found myself repeating and using often. So you can just see a quick snapshot of things like focus title, new order. So each time I have to order a title, I can just come to, I might have to switch my computer, guys. Trying to figure out the best way to do this. Please hold, everybody. I gotta get a battery. This is really bad. I cannot continue like this. So sorry. Joan,
while you're doing that, yeah. Does anybody have any questions up to this point based on the seller's step-by-step of getting to closing? I can answer that if you have, while we're waiting for Kimmy to get a new mouse. I think the main thing that she's trying to impart is as your business grows and you find yourselves going through the same steps over and over, especially if you're a listing agent, the more systemized you have your process, your checklist, your letters, your templates, you know, your ways of reminding what date's coming up, the simpler your process will be. It's really important not to miss any dates and to also, like she said, coordinate the dates with the buyer's agent, make sure that you both have the same dates. It really becomes a problem if one side has a different date than the listing side. So verifying those dates, reminding your client of the dates, and then reminding yourself of the dates, really important.
Okay, I think I'm back in business.
Live mouse.
Okay. All right, so Gmail, again, all of the Google platforms just allow for so much easy organization that I highly encourage. I highly encourage you guys to use Google to its fullest. So again, I just want to show the Gmail templates. So the options button down here, when you're going to create an email, you go to templates, you can plug in just a template that you've created for yourself. So I'm about to get into the new, the focus title new order in just a minute, but I have just created this quick template for myself to make sure that I have included all information that they need. And then I don't have to think twice about it. Okay, so moving on to the next step. So we've got our dates and deadlines out to our seller. We've got them out to the buyer's agent. We've got them on our calendar. We've received the earnest money receipt and we have dispersed that to the buyer's agent. Now we need to do what's called ordering title. So in the offer to purchase, the seller is to provide clear title to the buyer at closing, as we know. And we start this process by quote unquote ordering title. So if you've heard that term used, this is what this means. You're going to, Focus Title Company is the company that we use to do our title searches and prepare the closing statements. Jenny Klug is our Milwaukee rep, and Andrea Bell is our Lake Country rep. And they have a checklist that they provide to us all, and I will include this in the email follow-up, for the documents that they need in order to start their process. So they need both the listing documents and the offer documents. So if you can see this, if you guys can see this, okay. So the offer is accepted and they want the following items, which is the prior title policy, which is may or may not be provided, but the prior title policy. So when you are at your listing appointments, and I'm also going to point you guys to general trainings from Focus Title that we have in our YouTube channel that goes into their processes and much more in depth. But so they'll probably explain what a prior title is, but I'll go ahead and let you know. So when the last time that the property transferred, a title search was done, of course, then, and then the title commitment was issued and sent to the buyers after closing. If the buyer still has that title commitment, they are able to receive a 20% discount on their title work fees, and it's really important. Well, the seller can go, or the title company can go ahead and, you know, order title and proceed through their process without having this. But it does just help them in that they only have to do their search back to the last time the property transferred. So again, to incentivize a seller, they offer 20% discount on the owner's policy fees. Again, I'm not going to get too much into that, but just know that when you're on your listing appointments, that's paperwork that you'll want to ask for. The Focus Title authorization form, so that is in your listing packets as well. It's just a document that needs to be signed by sellers, and it gives the sellers the authorization to, it gives the title company the authorization to go ahead and order mortgage payoffs and communicate directly with the seller's mortgage company. A buyer seller sheet, that's just an informational sheet. They're going to need a copy of the listing contract, a copy of the earnest money receipt, the offer, any counter, any amendments, the buyer's lender's information. If it's an LLC or a trust, they'll need those documents if it's applicable. And then along the way, as you receive amendments, you'll need to pass those off to the title company. Lien waivers for repairs done, paid invoices for repairs done, and then the date and time and place of the closing, which you'll provide that closer to closing. But the title company is probably the entity that you will have the most communication with in regards to this contract to close process for your sellers, for sure. So they prepare the closing statement, as I said, and provide the title commitment. Any other comments that I have about ordering title? We'll get into this in a minute, but once you receive the title commitment, then there's a process with that too. Any questions on ordering title? No. Okay.
Steph, I have a question.
Yes.
What if the sellers want to use another title company or the buyers want to use another title company?
They absolutely can use another title company. Yeah. Some sellers, I feel like I find this with investor sellers who buy a property to flip. They oftentimes have a title company that they use exclusively. So that might just be a question that you want to ask when you're working with an investor and investor seller, and ask the question right away, do you have a preferred title company? Most people don't have a preference at all. So, but it is their choice if they want to shop around for it. And one comment about title companies now, as Joni knows, the owner's the difference in pricing when you're working between different title companies generally only depends on their closing and administrative fees. So the owner's policy fees and that major title search process is always a fixed rate between many different title companies, between title companies as a whole. So where a seller might have some savings is, Focus's closing fee might be $200 and attorney's title might be $300, so it's really just kind of minimal savings across the board, I would say. So
right, and that's the importance of that business disclosure form that is in your packet, because it does emphasize the fact that they can use any title company they want. It identifies who we work with, but it doesn't mean that you have to work with them. Yeah. And there are some sellers and some buyers that want to shop prices and everything. Let them. I wouldn't give them any direction, but let them do their own research.
And as a listing agent, you guys will, you guys will develop relationships with, like with Jenny, for example. I've got a really great relationship with Jenny Klug at the Milwaukee office, and I'm at Lake Country now, but I still continue to use her, and just because we kind of have like a rhythm, I just have a level of comfort with her that I like, just continue to work with her. So just a comment to you guys that you'll develop relationships with these people, and these will be your preferred people. So all right, now we're going to get into command opportunity submissions. So within 7 days after the accepted offer, as you guys know, you need to upload the executed documents into command and get it submitted for review by Kimmy or I. So just going to switch over to command real quick just to show you again the opportunity. So in the details section of your opportunities, once you guys have an estimated closing date, you're always going to put that in. And you'll be walked through that. But actually on the seller side with Command, you guys have your listing paperwork that you upload once you guys first secure the listing. And then the accepted, and you'll submit that for review. At that time, you guys are not going to know an estimated closing date, so you would not put that in this details section. Once you do get an accepted offer, though, and you upload those executed documents in the under contract folder, you will need to update this estimated closing date to what the closing date is. I wish that it would, well, no, it's okay. It says estimated close date. It could change from that, but it likely won't. So documents. So here are our two, here's our opportunity, I'm sorry. And then we've got our listed folder here. And again, these contracts and these documents should already be uploaded before you get to the under contract folder. But once you have an accepted offer, you're going to go to the under contract folder and upload your offer to purchase, your addendum A, your counter if applicable, any amendments that you have, a notice if it was applicable in the transaction, the executed real estate condition report, the executed addendum S, the inspection report, the earnest money receipt, any miscellaneous documents. So like an addendum O could go here, if an addendum R is a part of the offer to purchase, you could put that here. And then we've got placeholders for the cancellation agreement if needed, and hopefully it's not. The addendum TRID. I feel like we could actually remove this. That's not used very often. And then just another comment about Command, just in general, along the left-hand side, you can create custom folders for yourself. So I always add a miscellaneous folder. And this is where I will put things like paid invoices and lien waivers, the title commitment, I'll put in there, any contractor estimates. So use Command as your e-filing system for sure. So whether or not it's something that is required for us to review, still upload it here, just so it's a quick stop for you guys. It's your e-filing cabinet. So once you upload all of those documents, you'll be able to, this will be in green once there are documents loaded, but then you'll hit submit to MC, and then Kimmy and I get it for review. And again, that has to be done within 7 days after accepted offer. Okay. Throughout the transaction. So during the next 7 to 25 days is when you will be working with the buyer's agent on inspection. You'll be continuing to work on, you'll be negotiating the inspection at this time. So any amendment that's as a result of the inspection negotiations, you'll upload that to Command. If it's, and I think you should just get in the habit no matter what, but if you have, as a part of your negotiation, a price drop, you want to make sure that you're getting that over to the title company because they're going to need to know that if the price changed. Likewise, if there's a closing cost credit, the title company is going to need to know that as well. So that's reflected on the closing statement. But again, I would just be, no matter what, just be in the habit of any changes to the contract, you're going to get that to the title company. During this time as well, you're going to be working through the appraisal contingency. This isn't really a part of, I would say, like a the details of the contract to close process, but just like comments about the appraisal and what my process is with the appraisal. You're going to be getting it scheduled, or the appraiser is going to get it scheduled through you directly. Once that appraisal is ordered, then they contact you directly to get it set up. I make it a habit to meet the appraiser at the home. There's a difference of opinions on this. I'll just put that out there, but each listing agent has their own process and their own opinion on how to deal with the appraisal. I like to meet them at the home, be there for questions. I like to provide them, and especially with this market, provide them all copies of previous, or give them copies of other accepted offers with names blacked out, of course, but just for them to see where other offers have come in at. This is more just a comment about the current state of the market and, just working for your seller, I should say, and making sure that there are no hiccups with the appraisal contingency. So doing everything in your practice, in your power to make sure that the home appraises. So when I'm communicating to the sellers on the appraisal, I'm making sure that the home is in tip-top shape, just like as it would be for a showing. Lights are on. Again, and then I'm meeting them there with information about the home. So also I include comps that I think support the purchase price. Then another key thing is providing them with a list of improvements that the seller has done so that the appraiser understands and knows what has been done to the home since they purchased it.
Yeah, I would not include inspection report or any reports like that.
No.
But I think it's your duty as a listing agent, especially in this market, to prepare the appraiser as much as you can. A lot of appraisers say, "Oh no, it's not necessary. You don't need to meet me." And if they're like that, then leave them a packet at least at the house for them to see. But I think it's part of your duty as a listing agent.
100%. Yeah. This is where you're earning your commission.
Right.
So, any questions about that, you guys? Okay.
One thing I think we need to, when going back, when you're talking about things that you need to include on that information under miscellaneous would be any referrals. We see a lot of situations where, oh, I forgot that this is a referral, or I've got to pay a referral, or I'm getting a referral. So make sure that under miscellaneous, you're adding in referrals.
And actually, there's a spot for that now. We moved those to the listed folder. So if this is a referral, you'll put the executed referral form here. And then you're also, as a part of that process, collecting the W-9 from the referring broker.
Yeah, so, that's smart. So then you don't forget it right before closing.
Yeah. And then the accounting department uses the W-9 to pay the commission, the referral fee to the referring broker. Thank you for reminding me of that. Title commitment review. So again, nothing I want to spend too much time on in regards, I don't want to get into a rabbit hole on this, but we'll again send you a link to a title training hosted by Focus Title in the follow-up email. But you've ordered title. Jenny and Focus Title will be in communication with you on things that they need along the way. But then once they are through with their title search, they'll send you a copy of the title commitment to share with your sellers. this is something that you'll get more comfortable with as as your business grows. But I always do a quick review as well, just to see if there's anything odd in the way of judgments that I need to go back to Jenny or Focus Title on and say, I mean, and ask them about. So if it's a concern that we need to have, I should say, anything that is going to be a concern for title, they will let you know. But why I want to be proactive in that is because before I send it off to the sellers, I would like to be educated and say, this was found on title, this is how it's going to be handled. So again, Jenny or Andrea will be in communication with you. If it's something that they cannot problem solve, they'll always bring you in and let you know this might delay closing. We have to get X, Y, and Z to try and get this judgment off. And we've learned it might take a few days longer than closing. So just the reason why I just want to make it clear that like you don't have to be experts on the title commitment. And it's not your job to be looking for these errors or these judgments, I should say. But just to understand that it might be a hiccup for you during a transaction. So any questions on that? No? Yes? Okay. So assuming that everything is fine with the title commitment, I'm emailing it off to the sellers and just saying all looks as it should. Just save this for your records and leaving it at that. Mark reminders on calendar to check in with the buyer's agent on appraisal order and loan commitment check-in. Okay, so when you are doing the when you're filling out plugging in your deadlines on the calendar, I also include steps for myself along the way to make sure that the buyer's agent has checked in with the lender to order appraisal, for example. If I put in the loan commitment due date, I'll always backtrack a week and write a note for myself to check in with the buyer's agent to check in with their lender, check in with the buyer's lender to see where we're at with loan commitment. A lot of this stuff I'll say like gets kind of micromanagey, but that's again kind of our jobs here. Like we need to make sure that the transaction is moving forward. So I'll always just do a quick check-in with the buyer's agent. How are we doing on loan commitment? You know, so all just reminders to yourself. All right, within 1 to 10 days prior to closing. So now you're just going to be coordinating the final details here. So scheduling the pre-sign with the seller and the title company. Now I have found that Focus Title will reach out to the seller directly to coordinate this. So I will just like do a quick check-in with Jenny, or I'll do a quick check-in with the seller. Like we will be scheduling your pre-sign leading up to the week before closing. You know, tell me what days are best for you, and then I'll communicate that date with Jenny, and then I'll just connect the two of them to get the rest of it worked out. Making sure that the seller coordinates with the title company and how they want to receive their proceeds. So when I'm asking for the seller's schedule, I'll also let them know, you know, the title company will be reaching out to you about this, but just have an idea if you would like to receive your funds, your proceeds by wire, if you want to receive a check. The title company can also direct deposit into a local bank if you want. But again, the title company will also be checking in with the seller on that. The seller's closing statement review and delivery. So again, during this 1 to 10 day period prior to closing, you'll receive the closing statement from the title company. And before I'm forwarding it on to the seller, I'm always looking for making sure that the price is correct. I'm making sure that the address is correct. I'm looking for the correct earnest money amount. I'm making sure that the commissions are calculated correctly and making sure that that administrative fee or additional commission is on the closing statement. So, you know, sometimes it's 6% plus 295 or 6% plus 495, making sure that that 495 is there. Home warranty, there's a home warranty as a part of the transaction. I'm making sure that that got paid on the closing statement. And then contractor payments. So as a listing agent, you might be coordinating repairs for your seller. And sometimes contractors will get paid directly from closing if there are no funds available from the seller to pay the contractor ahead of time. So if a roof, you know, $20,000 roof happened right before closing, and they get paid out of the proceeds, we just want to make sure that's indicated on the closing statement that Community Roofing is receiving a check for $20,000. Then if there are any changes that need to be made, I am sending those changes back to the title company for them to correct, and then they'll resend the closing statement back out. Then I'll do another re-review, and then I'll send that off to the seller. I always want to make sure that I'm sending sellers the correct documents. So I don't want to send it to them and then have to backtrack with the title company to make corrections if I can avoid it. And then with the seller, I'll forward it on and I'll say, no need to take action on this right now. The title company will go through this with you at closing at your pre-sign, and you'll sign a copy of this. Your proceeds are in the bottom left-hand corner of this page for you to see. And let me know if you have any questions. At this time, during this period, I'm also making sure that the final walkthrough has been scheduled. And then I'm sending reminders and confirming with the seller and letting them know how the home needs to be at the time of closing. So, you know, broom swept condition, all debris needs to be removed from the home. That includes the basement, the attic, the garage. A big spot that I see things left behind is in garage rafters. So it's just reminding your seller of these things throughout this process is really helpful. So we're trying to avoid any issues at final walkthrough. Again, and then as I mentioned before, resending the dates and deadlines letters to remind them what the inclusions and exclusions are. At this time, I am arranging the keys and lockbox pickup with the buyer's agent. So if they're gonna do a final walkthrough right before closing, I'll ask them to grab my lockbox and bring it to closing. I'll let them know that they can go ahead and grab the key from the lockbox and give that to the buyer at closing. They need to hang on to it until closing. I'll also confirm with them that, you know, all other keys have been left on the table, and I'll confirm with seller on where those are going to be. Don't forget to arrange staging removal. I have done that before where I have forgotten after appraisal to get my staging items out. It's no fun if a staging company has to scramble a couple days before closing to get their stuff out without notice. So reminding yourself to do that. And then during this time period, making sure you're looking at your command opportunity to make sure that it is approved by Kimmy or I. If it's not approved, then you'll need to, you know, add the documentation that has been missing or make whatever corrections need to happen. You don't get paid until the opportunity is approved. So, all right.
I have a question for you, Steph.
Yes.
In reviewing all the documents that you and Kimmy do, and I used to do that too, reviewing every document to make sure everything was in prior to closing.
Mm-hmm.
What's the most common thing that you see that agents have forgotten to include or need the most correction by an email?
actually probably what we will be addressing tomorrow at tomorrow's meeting. And that is our new policy that we need to have documentation from buyers when a inspection contingency has been waived, or I'm sorry, omitted from an offer to purchase, which is happening more now with this market. We need language from the buyer either right into the offer to purchase stating that the buyer is waiving the home inspection contingency. So it's not just enough to omit it, but doing that extra language stating that they're waiving it, which are one of two ways that is acceptable to us. And that is, again, either right in the offer to purchase itself, either by a notice from the buyer to the seller stating that they are waiving the home inspection contingency, or an amendment to the buyer agency contract, which is essentially a hold harmless statement signed by the buyers. So that is what we have been seeing mostly, I would say, that is missing when a loop or when an opportunity has been submitted. But otherwise, I would say it's not so much things that are forgotten because there's a big stamp that says required next to a placeholder. But another big thing that I've had to go back to agents for is in the addendum S, the lead-based paint testing waiver box is never checked. So I always have to go back to the agent and say, this needs to get checked. So,
Okay.
Yeah, I would say those are probably the two biggest things right now. Question. Good reminders to you guys. All right, closing day and then post-closing. So you'll take at closing, you're gonna collect the executed closing statement. It will be provided to you from the closing, from the title company, and then your commission check. And then you're going to turn that into the front desk. You're going to schedule your sign removal, and then you're going to close the listing out in MLS. So the same spot that you updated the status from active to active with offer, you're going to go back to MLS and then close it out. And show you that real quick. So close listing, and you'll put the buyer's agent in here, and you can just start typing in their name and it'll come up. Sold date, sold price, the terms of the sale. So whether or not, 9 times out of 10, you're either going to use cash, conventional, or FHA. The transaction type, arm's length, typically. Concessions. So this is when there's a closing cost credit. So if there's a closing cost credit as part of your...
For the payoff? Oh, yeah.
If there's a closing cost credit, you will say, yes, there was a concession, and then concession remarks, you'll just indicate what that was. And then the pending date is the accepted offer date. And you'll hit save, and now it's officially closed out. And then back to my comments on expanding on these checklists. So I also, in my post-close processes, I've also added post social media that it has sold. I have a client closing gift donation that I make sure it gets done. So I've added all of those little steps that I do as part of my closing process as well, and you'll build upon those too. Rocky start today, I apologize. Let me know if you guys have any questions, but again, I would say this is kind of generally an easier process versus the buyer's side, just because you're, dealing with all of the contingency items more closely when you're on the buy side, and a lot more to coordinate. So, yeah. Any questions?
Nice work.
Okay. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right. We'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, Steph.
Oh, Kimmy, could you include me on sending those attachments, please?
Yes,
Thanks.
absolutely. Okay. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.